Today's lesson is on the order of operations. Now, I know most people have learned the order of operations by learning some way to remember this order. Most commonly, people are taught, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. And there are a couple of things that I don't like about please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. The first one is the P. People are taught that the P stands for parentheses, which is fine. Parentheses do come first in a problem, but it's not just parentheses. What comes first in a problem is any form of grouping symbols. That could be parentheses, it could be brackets, it could be absolute values, it could be anything that groups stuff together. That is always done first. So instead of having the P first, I prefer having a G first. The E stands for exponents, and that's fine. My next problem comes down here. When people remember, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, they tend to think that multiplying must always be done before division. That's actually not true. Multiplying and dividing are done at the same time. To know which one comes first, you actually just go from left to right. So if the dividing is first in a problem, that comes first. If multiplying shows up first, that will go first. Adding and subtracting have the same problem. Adding is not always before subtracting. It's whichever one shows up first in the problem. And so instead of using please excuse my dear Aunt Sally or PEMDAS or something like that, I prefer to think of order of operations as a hopscotch board. Grouping symbols come first. Exponents come second. And then you'll notice that multiplying and dividing, the squares are next to each other. When we're playing hopscotch and two squares are next to each other, we jump into them both at the same time. Which reminds us that multiplying and dividing go together. They're done at the same time. It's whichever one comes first in the problem. And then same with adding and subtracting. We would jump on those at the same time. And so it's whichever one comes first in the problem. And so instead of remembering, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, when we're thinking of order of operations, I would like you to think of hopscotch. And so we can put this into practice with a couple of problems. The first one is I have multiplying, subtracting, and multiplying. So I will multiply first. That comes before subtraction. And 6 times 8 is 48. And 7 times 4 is 28. And then I can subtract these, and I will get 20. Now notice I'm not just writing down one number as I go. I'm writing down the whole problem that is left on each step. So over here, I have subtraction and addition. So I'm going to go left to right. So subtraction is first. 10 minus 4 is 6. So what I have left in my problem is 6 plus 3, which is 9. So you see I'm working my way down one step at a time until I get to the answer. Now on the third one here, I have a set of parentheses. So anything grouping symbols has to come first. So when I do that, I get a 2 times 5, that's still there. And 2 times 5 is 10. And my last one here, again, I have grouping symbols, so that'll come first. And inside the grouping symbols, I get 1. Excuse me. Bring down the rest of the problem. So I have 28 divided by 4 times 1. I'll divide first. 28 divided by 4 is 7. And 7 times 1 is also 7. So just remember, order of operations, hopscotch.